Alright guys, it's been a while since we've ranked video games. Last game series we ranked was Arkham. So who wants to rank Sonic the Hedgehog?
I'm down, but there's way too many Sonic games out there, so let's only rank games we consider canon to the series, so no spin-offs or cartoon shows, and definitely not anything in the Boom canon. The Sonic Boom TV show isn't that bad, but I still can't forgive what the games did to the series, and especially how they butchered my boys Shadow and Knuckles.
I agree with Corey. Only canon games that mean something to the story, so no kart racers or dumb spin-offs just to compete with Mario, and no alternate canons. So let's start with Sonic 1. Honestly, this game is a fun platformer, but how many fucking times are they going to re-release this game? I mainly play the GameCube port as I don't have Sonic Origins, but come on. Even for a GameCube port, they can at least add a spin dash or a save feature.
Trump ports don't count to the actual ranking of the game.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't, Trump. You're a fucking idiot. For the time, this game was amazing, but today I find it kind of hard to play. Mainly because it doesn't save, but apart from that, then it's up there for one of the best 2D platformers out there, well, at least for the time. The game is still fun, and it seems like every console release now, Sega has a compulsion to re-release all classic-era Sonic games. The game is harder than Joe around Jailbait, though, so there's that. But in terms of boss fights, I know it's Eggman's first time meeting Sonic, but Jesus, even he can do better than that. His plan is to turn animals into robots, for fuck's sake. Get better boss fights.
What the actual fuck did you just say, Obungus?
I said you're a shit fighter and you're a fucking war criminal that should be thrown in jail for the rest of your fat-ass life.
I'm a war criminal! You're the douchebag who drone strike the Middle East for no fucking reason!
Are you guys ever gonna let that go?
No!
Fuck all of you. We're still only on the first game of the list. Sonic 1 is a classic, which has been shown up by later games, but still a fun game, which earns it A tier. Now let's move on to Sonic 2 before I leak to the public proof that Eggman's mustache is fake.
Just try it. You leak it, then I piss on the moon again!
This derailed really fucking quickly. Sonic 2 is a huge improvement over Sonic 1. Being the introduction of Tails is great, and the bosses, while still easy, are actually pretty fun. Though, aside from Metropolis Zone, you can beat this game pretty quick, but speed is the whole point of Sonic, so I'm good with S tier.
Absolute S tier. This game is iconic. Next is Sonic CD. For me, this is an underrated gem. You gotta give it credit for being the introduction of Amy and Metal Sonic, and if I'm being honest, this is the most fun I had playing a classic Sonic game. Everyone says 3 is the best, but for me, CD is just a more fun experience. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't played Sonic 3 enough, but CD will always be my favorite 2D Sonic game. Well, was until Mania came out, but we'll get there when we get there.
I followed about half of that, but I agree with what the Orange Man said. CD is also my favorite classic-era Sonic game. That animated opening was awesome, and Sonic Boom is such a catchy song, even if Crush 40's version is better, but that's no competition. The boss fights may be the easiest of the classic era, but that Metal Sonic fight was fucking amazing. Plus, it's cool seeing both the future and past versions of levels through time travel.
Well, if the fat asses both agree, then I guess CD goes to S tier. Okay, next is Sonic 3 and Knuckles, the fan favorite. Like Donnie, I haven't played much of this game, but I do think that it's at least on the same level as Sonic 2, so I'm fine with the popular opinion. Plus, this is the first appearance of Knuckles, who is easily one of the best Sonic characters. But still, fuck you Sega for just making him an idiot instead of the badass he really is. The fucking disrespect Knuckles gets now.
Knuckles deserves way better than he gets now, but this game may be the best he's ever been. The fact that a mascot platformer with no dialogue can have such a great story, and the fact this game is so big that it needs to be split into 2 games tells you everything you need to know. S tier it is. Now let's finally get to 3D Sonic and talk about Sonic Adventure.
This game is aged like Knuckles' character. The graphics and the cutscenes look like complete dog water, at least for Sonic, Eggman, Tails. Big and Knuckles don't look too bad, but when Sonic talks in this game, it's like his mouth is trying to eat his whole face. Not to mention Big's levels may be the death of me. Sonic Adventure deserves C tier, but I'm saying B tier only because it's the first real 3D Sonic game.
Joe, you need to shut the fuck up. Of course the graphics look like that. Sega had never made a game with cutscenes like that before, so it's excusable. Big's levels aren't even that bad. They just don't fit with Sonic. And to me, Big offers the solution to solve Knuckles. Just make Big the comic relief and make Knuckles a badass again. And Joe, if you dare shit on the story with Chaos and the Echidna tribe, then you're going straight in the mosh pit. That was the first time Sonic's stories really grew up. It gets darker in Adventure 2, but this is still a great story.
Agreed. This game deserves A tier at least. Okay, next is the greatest Sonic game ever made, and maybe even the greatest 3D platformer ever made. Sonic Adventure 2.
Eggman, you son of a fucking bitch.
Shadow! You're not still mad that I owe you $20, are you?
Correction. You owed me $20 about half an hour ago. Now you owe me something far more valuable to you.
Now I live!
What a pussy. Now you corrupt dickbags, where were you planning on putting my first appearance?
Even without the threat of death, this game is easily an S tier. It's the best Sonic game ever made. It has the best story and a mascot platformer, and all of that can be attributed to Shadow. Easily the best Sonic character, as he's the only Sonic character who actually gets real character development. Not to mention he's the textbook definition of a badass.
Not to mention this is the first appearance of Rouge the Bat.
Joe, you need to be very careful with what you say next.
What? This time she isn't underage, and also that bat was fucking made to turn people into furries.
You've made your choice, you fucking pervert. Chaos. Brazilian wax.
Ow. My fucking pubes have eaten my dick.
Wait, that's an actual Chaos power. How the fuck did you do that?
I'm the ultimate life form. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Now let's just move on to the slippery shit turd that is Sonic Heroes.
Shadow has a point about this game being slippery as fuck. The amount of times I've tried to homing attack and ended up falling to my death. But this game still isn't bad. Metal Sonic was fucking awesome, and the Team Dark story was awesome with how Shadow got resurrected. So I'm thinking at least B tier.
You have to beat the game 4 times with all the Chaos Emeralds in those migraine-inducing special stages just to beat the game.
Good point, C tier it is. Next is Shadow the Hedgehog. To be honest with you, this game is way too overhated. The gameplay isn't even close to bad. The story with fleshing out Shadow's backstory was more than welcome. The bosses were actually pretty fun. The soundtrack fucking slaps. The gunplay is insanely fun. The multiplayer is fucking awesome, and the darker tone isn't as cringy as everyone says. Hate me all you want, but I think A tier for this game. Shadow needs another game to himself.
You do have to beat the game 10 times to get the canon ending, but at least it's not like Heroes where it's just the same levels. Thanks, Donnie. I think you covered everything. It may be controversial, but I love this game and am more than happy to put it in A tier. Next is the big one, a Sonic 06.
Okay, we all know this game is a glitchy mess that made Sonic make out with a human woman even though he's a fucking hedgehog. But a lot of people do forget that this game did get a lot of story elements right. This is the best written Shadow has ever been in a Sonic game. He's not just an angry edgelord, he actually cares about people. Silver is one of the most overhated characters in the series, but he's still an interesting character. And we all know that Methylis is easily the best Sonic villain of all time. He needs to come back someday.
That day is far closer than you think, Corey.
How the fuck are you still alive?
Some things like me are beyond you, Shadow. How are you, by the way? Still staring at Rouge's tits and crying over Maria like the little emo bitch you are?
I'm a little emo bitch. You're the fucker who copied my Shadow and literally died because we blew a fucking candle out.
To be fair, Methylis, it was a really shitty way to leave the franchise.
You really think that was my decision? I fucking murdered Sonic just to make some whiny bitch cry. No, it wasn't you, Shadow.
Fuck off.
After I killed Sonic, by the way, how many other villains can say they did that? That's right, none. Then I merged with Iblis and became a fucking god. And then the same whiny bitch makes out with Sonic's dead body. What the fuck, by the way? And then suddenly he's alive again, and then I die from a fucking candle. Fuck you, Sega. Just for the writing for Shadow and me alone, I think that Sonic 06 can squeeze into C tier. Any objections?
The story outside of Sonic and Elise is still pretty good. Eggman does look like a haunted puppet cosplaying as Eggman, though, but at the very least, he's not the main villain of this game. Now, are you guys okay if I just put Sonic and the Secret Rings straight into F tier and move immediately to Sonic Unleashed?
Damn right that lazy Temple Run mess deserves F tier, but Unleashed is actually an amazing game. It did kind of ditch the darker tone from Adventure 2. Shadow the Hedgehog in 06, which I missed that dark tone, but this game did what it needed to with the lighter tone. Still having elements of that darkness, but still in the cartoony place that we know Sonic now. And before anyone bitches about the Werehog, I don't think the Werehog gameplay is that bad. And the normal Sonic stages are peak boost Sonic gameplay. I vote A tier.
I'm good with that. Now let's move on to Sonic and the Black Knight. Honestly, this was one of my favorite games on the Wii. This game is so fucking underrated.
Motion controls hurt my arms.
You don't even have fucking elbows.
Eat a dick.
I agree with Corey that this game is underrated. The story with Shadow, Knuckles, Blaze, and Amy all playing different characters in this medieval alternate universe is an awesome idea. The villain isn't as memorable as Methalis or Metal Sonic, but still pretty good. And oh my god, those storybook cutscenes are fucking beautiful. My only complaint is that the movement controls are a little clunky at times, but still not as bad as games like Secret Rings or 06. Are you guys good with B tier?
B tier is good. It's still a Sonic game, but it doesn't always feel like it is. So I'm guessing Sonic Colors is next?
Oh, fuck that.
Thank God that fucking douchebag is gone. Now this game isn't really for me. I get that we've shied away from the darker tone, but fuck me, this is too cartoony even for Sonic. Eggman's plan is literally to build a theme park. Wii controls are always pretty clunky with Sonic games. And the wisps are fucking infuriating to control here. I think C tier.
So I'll put it in B tier because it's not as bad as 06. Next is Sonic Generations. Holy shit, I remember when the trailer for this came out. Seeing Sonic run alongside his classic self gave me such a fucking fanboy boner.
What?
You heard me.
Moving on from that. Generations is more than a game. It's a celebration of the entire fucking series up to that point. The gameplay for both Sonics is perfected here and the graphics and bosses are all amazing. I can't wait for Sonic X Shadow Generations to come out. Until then, I think this game deserves S tier.
I really wish Sega named the game something different, because Sonic X Shadow sounds like something that makes me want to tear out my quills and shove them in my eyes, but I can agree with S tier. So, are we just gonna put Sonic Lost World straight into D tier?
D tier is generous for this cartoony Mario Galaxy apology from the abortion clinic, but I'm fine with letting it sit there. And while we're at it, we might as well put Sonic Mania straight into S tier. As we all know, that's where it's going anyway. It's the perfect classic Sonic game. Let's just talk about Sonic Forces. Now this game promised a lot. It was shown to be a return to the darker tone of Adventure 2 and 06. Infinite had a lot of potential. While I did still like him as a character, he was supposed to be an amazing villain up there with Adventure 2 Shadow and Methalis, but he got shafted in favor of Eggman because God forbid that Sega create another. Interesting character with actual development. No, let's just make our villains edgy just to be edgy, not make Infinite an actually fleshed out character.
That's exactly what I told Sega, but no, they had to completely fuck me up to make Shadow look cooler in the DLC. And that was supposed to be my fucking origin story.
How the fuck do you assholes keep joining the call?
I really need to make our server private.
Fuck's sake, Joe. First Methalis and now this weak sack of shit.
At least I'm not staring in Rouge's tits, but still too sad about Maria to even fucking ask her out.
At least I have tits to stare at.
Just rank the fucking game.
You're in it. F tier.
What the fuck? Did you forget that this is the first game you're playable in since fucking Sonic and the Black Knight?
Shit, you're actually right. Fine A tier, you still bring it down from S tier.
No! Even I can't put this game into A tier. B tier at most. I'm fucking wasted in this story. The Avatar is a cool idea, but like me is really just missed potential. Classic Sonic doesn't need to be here, and your DLC is too fucking short. But I'm still saying B tier cause the game is still fun.
The story at least tries, and the soundtrack is the best we've had in years, so I think B tier is good.
I'm going to have to agree with Infinite here. But there is something that I think could have made this game at least A tier. Take more inspiration from Sonic Adventure 2 and actually have a dark story. Whereas the main story is still Sonic and the Avatar, fuck classic Sonic doesn't need to be here. And then have a second story where you play the story as Infinite. It could have been a cool way to make the game darker and flesh out Infinite's character more, but we're stuck with B tier. So next is the most recent game, Sonic Frontiers.
This was the game I was waiting for. Every character is done justice here. Tails, Knuckles, Amy, even fucking Big. The story is a bit hard to follow, and the controls did take some getting used to, but I've been waiting for an open-world Sonic game for years. I'd say A tier as it's amazing, but still not on the same level as Adventure 2, but then again, nothing is.
A tier sounds good. Now let's end the video here before Shadow and Infinite fucking kill each other. Remember to like and subscribe and all that shit. President's out.